Alright, CSX Transportation, Air Brake Train, Air Brake Train Handling and Equipment Rule Book, CSX How Tomorrow Moves. Effective April 1st, 2010. CSX Air Brake Train Handling Rules. Effective for April 1st, 2010. The rules presented in this book are effective the April 1st, 2010, are effective property owned and or operated by CSX, governing the operation, testing, inspections, and various aspects of the railroad rolling equipment. As written primarily, guidance to conductors, engineers, trainmen, and holsters may be applied to the employees as well. Employees whose duties are prescribed by these rules must be conversation with them, have a copy of the book accessible while on duty. Conditions not covered by this rule. Instructions demand on sound judgment, application correction, principles, safety and efficiency, and economy. Copyright 2007 CSX. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be used or reproduced in any manner without written position. Oh well. Section 1, 5000. Air brakes general. 5001. Preventing airline contamination, maintaining required minimum percentage of operation brake, working on brake equipment, standard brake pipe pressure, avoiding overcharge condition, reducing an overcharge condition, adjusting air brake controls. 550. Locomotive air brake equipment, applying the train brakes, monitoring locomotive air gauges, adjusting, equalizing reservoir pressure, cutting the automatic brake, reporting excessive locomotive brake cylinder piston travel, ensuring proper brake cylinder pressure, blocking independent brake, positioning three position automatic brake cutout valves, verifying the type of the brake valve in the controlling locomotive, managing the main reserve as air pressure. Section 2, 5100 series. Air brake test, general requirements F5101, complying with the FRA regulations 512, employee responsibility 5103, operation air brake controls 5104, determining rear car air pressure 5105, determining application release of the rear car air brakes 5106, restoring the brake pipe pressure 5150, making locomotive air brakes, making locomotive consistent with the air brake test, making a standard 5152, making standing locomotive air brake test 5153, making a running locomotive air brake test 5200 series, making train air brake inspection and test, meeting the pre-test requirements, testing of brake pipe leakage, making a class 1 brake test, making class 2 brake test, making class 3 brake test, making a transfer train air brake test, making a help service air brake test, making class 1A air brake test, making a backup hose and backup valve air brake test, making a passenger train running air brake test, retesting the air brakes, documenting the air brake test. Section 3, 5300 locomotive series locomotives, ensuring locomotive is inspected and determining the inspection required. Section authorization to perform the calendar day inspection, tagging locomotives due to the inspection at a different time, performing calendar day inspection, making a report of the calendar day inspection, making a non-compliant conditions, moving locomotives in non-compliant conditions, locomotive work reports, reporting locomotive defects. 5350, locomotive conditioning, starting diesel engine, shutting down a diesel engine, coupling locomotives, uncoupling locomotives, changing ends, securing the locomotive consistent with leaving locomotives unattended. 5400 series, locomotive operation, conservation, safety control devices, speed indicators, compliance with short time ratings, carrying the equipment, protecting the diesel engine from freezing, inspecting, making certain locomotive wheels are turning, reporting on hot traction motor support bearings, protecting traction motor from water damage, adding cooling water to the diesel engine, ditch lights. Section 4, 5500 series, fundamental of the train handling, general traffic, attractive effort, sanding, throttle handling, train braking, 5550, conventional train handling, starting trains, controlling speeds, braking trains, releasing train brakes, stop in condition brakes, switching, operating through an area with a temporary speed restriction. 50 steep grade of 1% or more train handling. 5600 series, help service, Response restrictions: adding helper, operating helper, equipped train, detaching helper. 5650 special train handling procedure: gathering slack and straining, starting train on grades, loose, dynamic brakes, emergency brake application, service applications for unknown causes, incremental weather train braking, reporting the train separation of stalls. Section 5, 5700 series telemetry, equipment train, freight train exemptions, passenger train exemptions, and inspection train exemption. 5750 telemetry qualifications, qualification telemetry, the air brake test, qualification temperature telemetry for the two-way operation. 5730 coupling helper locomotive to the head end. 5800 arming the telemetry to the two-way capability. 5850 testing two-way telemetry emergency capability, bench testing and performing tests. 5900 disarming emergency capabilities. 5950 en route failures, defects, failures, restricting train movement due to the en route failure, making necessary substitutions to telemetry en route failure, reporting telemetry device defectives. Appendix A, setting up of locomotive air brakes. Appendix B, an illustration of brake valve handling positions. Appendix C, locomotive data and glossary of terms. Okay. Section 1, air brakes. General locomotive air brakes equipment. 5000 air brakes general. 5001, preventing airline contamination. Any employee coupling a yard line or locomotive to the train must first slightly open the shutoff valve or angle cock to blow out condensation debris and other contaminants from the yard line or the brake pipe. So slightly shut off the valve or angle cock to blow the condensation debris out of the contamination of the yard line or brake pipe. 5002, maintaining required minimum percentage of operating brakes. Considering air brakes inoperative while en route, the air brake of the car must be considered operative and has brake cylinder piston travel in excess of 10.5 inches. Repeat, A is the air brake of the car must be considered inoperative when it has a brake cylinder piston travel with an excess of 10.5 inches. B, accepting scaled test cars. Scaled test cars equipped with air brakes are accepted from those that require this rule. C, operating it while en route. While en route, each train must have an operative air brake at least 85% of the cars of the train. In the train. An operative air brake on the rear car, except for is provided in Rule 4203, ensuring safety movement when the last car in the train has air brake cutout. Number of air brakes that can be cut out in the train while still maintaining required 85% operation. 7 to 13 cars have an inoperative brake permitted of 1. Say you have 713 1 inoperative brake, 14 19 2 inoperative brakes permitted, 20 26 3 operative brakes permitted, 2733 inoperative brakes. If you have 34 to 39 cars, it's 5 inoperative brakes. 40 to 46, 6 inoperative brakes. 47 to 53, 7 inoperative brakes. 54 to 59, 8 inoperative brakes. 60 to 66, 9 inoperative brakes. 67 to 73, 10 inoperative brakes. 74 to 79, 11 inoperative brakes. 80 to 86, 12 inoperative brakes. 87 to 93, 13 inoperative brakes. 94 to 99, 14 inoperative brakes. 100 to 105, 15 inoperative brakes. 106 to 112, 16 inoperative brakes. 113 to 119, 17 inoperative brakes. 120 to 125, 18 inoperative brakes. 126 to 132, 19 inoperative brakes. 133 to 139, 20 inoperative brakes. 140, 145, 21 inoperative brakes. 146 to 152, 22 inoperative brakes. 153 to 159, 23 inoperative brakes. 160 to 165, 24 inoperative brakes. 166 to 172, 25 inoperative brakes. 173 to 179, 26 inoperative brakes. 180 to 185, 27 inoperative brakes. 186 to 192, 28 inoperative brakes. 193 to 199, 29 inoperative brakes. 200 to 206, 30 inoperative brakes. When calculating the number of operative brakes, count each locomotive as a car, control valve, or when calculating the number of operating brakes, count each locomotive as a car. Control valve or articulated equipment as a car. Section 1 air brakes, general locomotive air brake equipment 2 of 5. Limiting number of consecutive control valves cut out comply with the following in addition to the above requirements. Not articulated cars. When they're verified non-articulated cars with its air brake cutout is not coupled immediately next to. More than one non-articulated car when the air brake's cut out. The articulated car with one control valve when the control valve is cut out. The same end of the articulated car has an end control valve cut out. Articulated cars make certain that the articulated car has more than one control valve, does not have two consecutive control valve cutouts, or that the two consecutive control valve cutouts set the car out. When control valve cutout on one of its ends does not have an end of the control valve cutout coupled immediately to a non-articulated car with air brake cut out. An articulated car with one control valve when the control valve is cut out. The same end of another articulated car has an end in the control valve. 5003. Working on brake equipment. Cut out the air brake on the car before operating adjusting brakes equipment on the car according to the rule 4200. Cutting out air brakes. That will be in the appendix, I guess. 504. Standard brake pressure type. Adjusting brake pressure as follows. Passenger including Amtrak's auto trains at 110 psi. Road freight at 90 psi. Trains where freight and passenger cars excluding Amtrak's auto trains 90 psi and yard of transfer 90 psi. 505. Avoiding overcharge of the condition. Doubling cars or coupling cars to a train. When doubling cars or coupling cars to a train, make a full service brake pipe reduction after coupling is made before the angle. Make a full service brake pipe reduction after coupling is made before the angle cock is opened. Charge the train from the other end of the other than the head end. When charging a train other than the head end, adjust the brake pressure to 15 psi below the standard pressure for that train. See, attaching cars to the rear of the train. When handling the cars attached to the rear of the train before cutting air into the cars, adjust the brake pipe pressure to 15 psi below the standard pressure for the train being coupled to and make the service brake pipe reduction after coupling to butt before and the angle cock is open to the main body of the train. Attaching cars to the rear of the train. When handling the cars with attached to the rear of the train, before cutting air into the cars, adjust the brake pipe pressure to 15 psi below the standard pressure for the train to be coupled to and. Make full service brake pipe reduction after coupling to the before and angle cock is open to main body pressure. Full service brake pipe reduction after coupling button. The angle cock is open to the main body of the train. .506. Reducing overcharge conditions. To reduce overcharge air brake, follow the steps below. 1. Charge the brake in standard pressure for at least 3 minutes. 2. Place the automatic brake pressure in emergency position. Wait 90 seconds. Place the automatic brake in release position. When 20 psi of the brake pressure develops, place an automatic brake and handle off position in 90 seconds. 5. Place the automatic brake in release position. 507. Adjusting air brake controls. When train or engine is moving, do not adjust the regulation valve of the control locomotive. Cut out of the brake valve when the train or engine is moving, do not cut out the brake valve on the controlling locomotive. 550. Locomotive air brake equipment. 5051. Applying train brakes. When applying train brakes, monitoring equalizing reserve pressure because the brake pressure will reduce a slower rate. When applying train brakes, monitor equalizing reservoir pressure because the brake pressure will reduce at a slower rate. 552, monitoring locomotive air gauges. Monitoring all pressure indicates the detected changes that may affect the operation of the locomotive of the train. Air brakes, general locomotive air brake equipment 405, 5053, adjusting equalizing reservoir pressure to ensure accuracy. Make adjustments to the equalizing reservoir pressure with the automatic brake in release position, and cutout. 505, 5054, cutting out automatic brake. Make certain that the automatic brake in release position and the equalizing reservoir pressure is not increasing before placing the automatic brake cutoff valve in the in position. 5055, reporting excessive locomotive brake cylinder piston travel. Block 10 of the Form FRA F6 180-49A blue cab form shows the maximum piston travel. The actual piston travel within 2 inches of the maximum piston travel shall block the 10. Report the conditions of the locomotive work report in the train dispatch yardmaster mechanical desk. 5056, ensuring proper brake cylinder pressure to the amount of the locomotive brake cylinder that should develop when the independent brake is fully applied is posted inside the locomotive cab by a stencil, badge plate, or decal. The amount of locomotive cylinder pressure that should develop in the independent brake is applied and posted inside the locomotive cab stencil or badge plate or decal. If the pressure reading differs from the posted pressure in the 3 psi more than the reported the condition in the locomotive work report, do not alter the locomotive brake cylinder pressure adjustment. 5057, blocking independent brake. Do not block independent brakes so that it actuates the air brakes continuously. 5058, position 3 automatic brake cutout valves. Do not use the pass position of the 3-piston automatic brake cutout valve in a freight service. The pass position is of a 3-piston brake cutout valve may only be used when in passenger service. Each car has the control valve set for the graduated release. 559, verifying the type of the brake valve on controlling locomotive. Expected yard operations passenger type of the control locomotive may be equipped with 2630 or electronic air brake valves. 5060, managing main reserve air pressure. Main reserve air pressure should be from 130 to 145 psi. It must be at least a 15 psi more than the brake pressure for the air brake to work properly. Air brakes, general locomotive air brake, part 5 of 5A, monitoring the main reserve air pressure. If the locomotive is stopped, do not move the locomotive when the pressure is within 15 psi of the brake pipe pressure. If the locomotive is moving, the main reserve pressure falls to within 10 psi setting in the regulation valve. Stop the movement, comply with Rule 55555, stopping it. The car is attached to the locomotive. Secure the equipment in accordance with operating rules. Report the condition of the circumstances of the train dispatcher. Note that the locomotive works instance of the main reserve is outside of 130 to 145 psi range extending from the periods of time. B. Increasing the air compressor output. Do not increase air compressor output unless the main reserve pressure is within 15 psi of the regulating valve setting. To increase the air compressor out of the locomotive contains at least one electrical driven air compressor. Center the reverse lever and place the throttle in position 1. Locomotives models have electrical driven air compressors in the GE models -8-9 and CW4AC, CW4A8, CW60AC, ES44DC, ES44AC, EMD models is SD70M units 455, 4575, 4576, 4577, SD80 MAC. To increase the air compressor output of the locomotive consists that it does not contain electrical driven air compressors. Center reverse levers use sufficient throttle to maintain 15 psi differential between the main reserve pressure and regulating valve setting. Do not leave the throttle in any position that causes excessive vibration. Do not place the throttle in any position higher than number 4. C. Supplying to the air main reserve dead locomotive. On dead locomotives. Dead in tow. Handling a dead in tow locomotive makes it certain that the dead engine has been cut into the provided main air reserve pressure. Main reserve air pressure. On the mechanical department, personnel should operate the dead engine feature. Dead inconsistent. Dead inconsist. When handling dead inconsistent locomotives, condition locomotives according to the Rule 5353 coupling locomotives. Section 2 5100 series.